YouTube narration script. How to develop thinking skills. Have you ever been told to think more carefully or use your head? But what does it really mean to think? And more importantly, how can we develop this crucial ability? In today's world, simply memorizing facts isn't enough. With information overload and advancing AI, what we truly need is the power to tackle questions without clear answers, to think logically, and to make flexible judgments. This is what we call thinking skills, which combines working memory and logical thinking. Working memory is like a mental workspace in your brain. It temporarily holds and processes information right in front of you. The wider and more efficiently you can use this workspace, the better you become at solving complex problems and making logical decisions. Recent cognitive neuroscience research has made this increasingly clear. But here's the good news. Thinking skills aren't just something you're born with. Scientific studies show that these abilities can grow and change significantly depending on developmental stages, learning environments, and training methods. In other words, thinking skills can be developed. Let's dive into what working memory actually is. British psychologist Alan Baddeley proposed a multi-component model that breaks working memory into three main systems. First, the phonological loop temporarily stores sounds and language information. Second, the visuospatial sketchpad handles visual and spatial information. Third, the central executive acts as a control tower, managing attention and integrating information. Recently, a fourth component called the episodic buffer was added, serving as a bridge between long-term memory and working memory. Working memory isn't fixed from birth. It develops gradually as children's brains mature. Preschoolers around 4 to 5 years old can typically hold about 2 to 3 items. Elementary school children can manage 3 to 5 items, and by middle school, this increases to 5 to 7 items, approaching adult capacity. The period from late elementary through middle school is particularly crucial, often called the golden age for working memory development. This timing is fundamental for thinking skills, reading comprehension, and writing ability. The relationship between working memory and academic performance is profound. Reading comprehension requires holding previous sentences while reading new ones. Math calculations need you to retain intermediate steps like carrying numbers. Science experiments demand remembering procedures, while analyzing cause and effect relationships. When working memory capacity is limited, students risk losing track of tasks or making incorrect interpretations. British research even suggests that working memory capacity is a better predictor of academic achievement than IQ. So how does logical thinking develop? Logical thinking means reaching conclusions through a process based on premises and evidence following a consistent line of reasoning. It differs from intuition or emotion-based thinking. It involves comparing information, finding causal relationships and rules, and drawing predictions and judgments. Swiss psychologist Jean Piaget's cognitive development theory remains influential in education. He identified 4 stages, with the formal operational stage beginning around age 12 being particularly important. At this stage, children develop hypothetical deductive thinking, the essence of logical reasoning. They can form hypotheses like maybe the plant is growing slowly due to insufficient sunlight. What if we increase the light and test them systematically? Working memory and logical thinking work together closely. When performing 3-step logical reasoning like if A then B, if B then C, therefore if A then C, you must temporarily hold the A to B to C causal chain while structuring the whole argument. This requires the power to retain information, short-term, process it simultaneously, and apply it contextually. Research shows that children with higher working memory capacity score better on logical thinking tasks with working memory, being a stronger predictor than IQ or age alone. Can we train working memory? Many studies have explored this question with mixed results. Cognitive training programs like N-back tasks can improve performance on the trained tasks themselves. and sometimes enhance visual spatial short-term memory. However, the transfer effects to general academic ability, or IQ, are limited. Long-term maintenance after training often proves difficult. Most neuropsychologists take a cautious view, suggesting that training effects are limited and short-term. What matters more than training might be environmental factors: sleep deprivation, strong anxiety, stress, multitasking, and noisy backgrounds can all temporarily reduce working memory efficiency. Creating a brain-friendly environment is extremely important. Additionally, building well-organized knowledge in long-term memory can reduce working memory load. When you've memorized multiplication tables, calculations become instant because you're accessing long-term memory rather than taxing working memory. In education and parenting, it's crucial to understand that struggling to think isn't about lack of effort. When children lose track during reading comprehension, can't remember multiple instructions, or jump around in essays, it often reflects developmental differences in working memory and logical thinking, rather than laziness or slow thinking. Many children with developmental conditions like ADHD or learning disabilities show particular patterns in working memory function. Practical support strategies include visualizing information with diagrams and charts, breaking tasks into clear steps, using simple and repetitive language, and employing visual aids like cards and timers. At home, incorporating why questions and conversations, supporting vocal thinking processes, and building understanding of cause and effect. Relationships through reading and dialogue all help develop thinking skills. Remember, thinking skills aren't just for tests. They're essential life skills that work in every profession and situation. By understanding how children's cognition works and providing appropriate support, we can definitely nurture these abilities. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our channel and hit the like button. If you found this helpful,